Okay, everyone. The briefings have begun. Only it's not just rumours and reports. There's actually some really concrete stuff coming through. The Zubimendi deal is done. He will be an Arsenal player. And William Saliba has open contract talks, according to David Ornstein. It's Fabrizio Romano who's telling us about the Zubimendi stuff. And it's David Ornstein telling us about the Saliba stuff. It's all happened since last night. Well, late yesterday on Friday. And this morning woke up. Thanks, Fabrizio Romano. I had a Friday night out. I'm just trying to have a chill morning. And then you go drop this news on us. It's about the only positive news we've had around Arsenal for a while. So, do you know what? This will be a positive stream. I'm not going to be cynical about it. I'm not going to say, oh no, all this stuff is only coming out now because the club's done badly. Yeah, I mean, there's undoubtedly an element of truth to all that. And we can bring that up. We can talk about the timing and all this, but we're also going to talk about the actual signing. Arsenal signing one of the most sought after number sixes in the world. He is a player that was wanted by Real Madrid, I think Barcelona at one point, Bayern Munich for sure, Liverpool, Man City, and he's coming to Arsenal. And getting him out of Real Sociedad has not been an easy task. Liverpool know that. A lot of clubs will know that. But Arsenal got it done, and credit to Sammy Mockbell, who I think reports for BBC now, but he came, I might be wrong, does he report for BBC? But he came through the news back in January, which was this kind of big bomber. We were like, what's going on there? Where's looking for a striker now? What do you mean Zubimendi in the summer? But as we've got closer to it, yes, the season has remained a disappointment, but ultimately this is a very, very good signing. So we'll talk about the signing itself. We'll talk about the Saliba stuff, and we'll talk about why this is exactly what Arsenal need to do, which is crack on. You know, I said yesterday on a video I did here on the Goonerverse, I uploaded a video saying that there were certain non-negotiables for me as an Arsenal fan that I expect from the club. Funnily enough, ambition in the transfer market was one of them. Okay, you've made a decent start. It's a good first lap. And I also said in that video that I wasn't ready to talk about what next season's Arsenal looks like, what we have to do to improve, why if we do these certain things, next year can be better. I was still very much in a mopey, moany mood. I was moody still about Arsenal. And to be honest, I kind of still am today. But also, sometimes there's just news that you just got to go, right. But the PSG and the season stuff aside, there will be plenty more post-mortems about that as we sort of go through May and approach June in the transfer window. Arsenal, there was only one way to respond, and it was getting active with incomings and business immediately. Yes, we kind of knew the Zubimendi stuff was going to happen. It felt pretty concrete, but fair, at least you're kind of getting on with it. At least we can kind of put one to bed. So this is what Fabrizio Romano had to say. He said, Arsenal agreed deal to sign Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. Here we go. I said on a video recently, I think it was on the Goonerverse too, I said, when he slaps the here we go on it, it means it's done. He does say, though, Zubimendi is now verbally agreed to sign long-term deals, so formal steps must follow soon, with Arsenal to trigger the £60 million release clause. So we'll be paying £51 million for him. Zubimendi ready to become the first signing of the new season. I know I just said when he gives it the old here we go, it means there's kind of no going back, it's done. This, I'm still a bit like, okay. I mean, is it maybe because he can't sign it till the summer? Is it because we have to wait till like the transfer window's open to actually activate it? I don't know. But look, I think with Fabrizio Romano saying here we go, and then you go all the way back to January when Sammy Mockbell said Zubimendi was set to sign. These are two. Well, I mean, when it comes to transfers, there's no one better placed than Fabrizio Romano. Well, okay, David Ornstein, the two of them. And then when it comes to Arsenal news, you've got David Ornstein, but you've also got Sammy Mockbell, who has been at the very heart of it. He is unbelievably connected and incredibly accurate when it comes to Arsenal news. So between the two of them, one saying he's set to sign and the other saying here we go, Zubimendi is going to be an Arsenal player. And that is exciting news. And I remember there were kind of fears, and I think kind of Arsenal had spoken about it, just keep an eye on Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid and what happens there. But as I think a lot of Arsenal fans pointed out, you've got Tchouaméni, you've got Camavinga. These are young players who are brilliant in that number 6 position. Why would you add another younger player? And I think that's where it's slightly different with Arsenal. If Partey signs a new deal, well, he's still 30 plus. If, okay, you've got Declan Rice, that's another player, but he's been playing more as a box-to-box. So there is a natural fit for Zubimendi, even if you keep 2 other 6s. Also worth saying, I mean, I don't know if there's and we've had this for a while. When it was Partey, Rice, Jorginho, this was true. And we've gone and leveled up again. There is no better collection of number 6 options at any other club in world football, in my opinion. I mean, Man City will point to Rodri with Kovacic. And who's the other guy they signed? Man City transfers. Who did they sign from Porto? It's completely escaped me, but I've got it here right in front of me. Nico. Yeah, Nico Gonzalez. That was it. Yeah, they might say that competes. Like I just mentioned, Chouameni, Camavinga. But if you've got 3 players like Rice, Partey, Zubimendi, at any given point in the season next year, one of them starts in the 6, I will be a happy man. I will be comfortable with either Declan Rice's ball-winning ability, Zubimendi's guard and class on the ball, and Thomas Partey's kind of ability to do both. The reality is all 3 are kind of capable of doing what we're going to need that 6th position to do and be. I'd also want to say on this particular news with Zubimendi, did anyone else watch the PSG and Barca ties? Well, there's Champions League semi-finals in general, but our game against PSG and then what Barcelona did against Inter Milan. Did anyone else watch those and think, "Wow, I get this. I get the Zubimendi thing now"? That when we were first linked, when we were first sort of signing, I thought, I'm not sure I quite understand. I mean, I knew from the perspective of Partey and Jorginho were leaving and we need to add someone. So I got it from that perspective. I didn't know in terms of the fit as the 6. I didn't know whether maybe we actually needed more of an all-round 8. So Rice could be the 6. And I've been pushing the Rice as a 6 agenda. And like I've got that wrong. I think he is getting better and better in terms of output and effectiveness in kind of higher areas. So wrong on that one. But just the more I watch what João Neves and Vitinha did, what Pedri, De Jong, and players like that did, Zubimendi is he that caliber? Well, in terms of the way he's rated amongst other clubs and how many wanted him, I mean, probably. Certainly looked at it when he came against England in the Euros final. A lot of people kind of touch on that. I think he played really well against Real Madrid recently in the Copa del Rey as well. But certainly the profile, forget the caliber, let's talk profile. That is certainly a player we needed. I mean, I really was watching those games thinking, yeah, I get it. And the Partey helps. But Zubimendi as well. And that's going to be a big thing. And I also kind of watched the way João Neves plays with Vitinha there because it's a 4-3-3, but he's kind of playing to the right so that Vitinha can be the natural metronome, the 6, the sitting player. And again, I was thinking, okay, so there is kind of room for Partey and Zubimendi. There is a world in which Zubimendi plays. I know Arsenal fans will look at it and go, "Oh, 3 6s on the pitch," but you could go Rice, Partey, Zubimendi, or Marino, Partey, Zubimendi, and I know and use Zubimendi as more of a central midfielder rather than just the lone 6. And again, some people go, "That's not what I think we'll do next season. I think he will be the starting 6," and I also think that that's where he should play. But when you've got that kind of technical quality, if you add creativity in wider areas, if you allow your fullbacks to get up the pitch a little bit more, because what did PSG do with their midfield 3? At times, you've got your 4, your 3, your 3, and at times they're essentially. Oh, I'd love to be able to show this. I haven't got the tactical pad ready, but we'll do a breakdown on Zubimendi at some point. But your back 4 and your fullbacks can tuck in so that your central midfielders can move forward. But also they can tuck in and go beyond. So we end up with these 2 centre-backs, your 3 central midfielders, and then your line of 5 is made up of a right winger. I mean, you guys will be looking at it the other way. So your right winger, your fullback, your striker, your fullback, your left winger. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that's almost how he could line up so that Zubimendi could play as another deep line playmaker alongside of Thomas Partey. The problem is we don't really have the profile fullbacks to do that. Ben White can do that. I think Timber could do that. But Hakimi very naturally is super impactful in the final third. So yeah, I think there's a lot of ways in which you can use Zubimendi, and watching those games, that was a real takeaway from me. Like I did. Yeah, I did come away from the Champions League semi-finals and go, yeah, we need a Zubimendi. I kind of I got it before. I really get it now. So there we go. Someone's saying no volume, but I imagine this is just the one person, Josiah. I think it might just be you, unless I've been speaking for 10 minutes and none of you have heard anything, because I think you'd have all put it in the comments. So there we go. I can see the super chats. Thank you so much, people, for your super chats. We will go through all of it, and of course we'll talk about that. We will talk about the time of all this as well. Yeah, naturally, there's gonna be a lot of Arteta out, a lot of Arteta in, and all that. So that's always going to be a part of the conversation in a week that's been so frustrating for Arsenal. But let's just talk about this. Also, James, have you seen the Leao links? Yes, I have, and I've got them here to talk about. I wanted to save that to the end of the stream, but I have seen that, and we will go into that, absolutely. It is a great morning, JT. We haven't been able to say this for a while, and I don't think we have to. Already I see online there's a bit of the, oh, we rejected Liverpool. Oh, see, Real Madrid didn't have the pool. He's chosen us. Guys, let's just simmer down on all that, please. Liverpool have a Premier League trophy to enjoy. We're going to give them a guard of honor tomorrow. And Real Madrid very rarely miss out on targets. And they've just signed Trent Alexander-Arnold. And they want William Saliba, by the way. So we'll talk about that. So I don't think we're quite in a position to banter anyone at the moment. But at the same time, we can enjoy that we got this done. You know, we two things can be true. The season was incredibly underwhelming. Arsenal should have done more. We are annoyed that we have had previously poor windows that have kind of resulted in this bad season. Yet, looking to the future, this is a very good start to try and make amends for what has gone wrong. It's a good start. You know, let's give it credit. Zubimendi and getting this kind of done ahead of the window is good news. It's a big signing, guys. But the release clause helps, but it's a big signing. Interesting that Edu's been given quite a lot of credit as well, I think, for sort of getting ahead with this. So fair play to Edu on all that and the work that had been done before to kind of get this all in place. Ren, I see your comment. Thank you, it's very kind. I've just been eating well and exercising lots, so thank you. I really appreciate that a lot. Edge Reviews says, morning, James. I like your approach to making videos. Thank you. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work. That's very, very kind. Appreciate it. Nathan says, James had a big night last night. Surprise, surprise. It was a friend's birthday. Look, it's summer, people. The sun's out. You know, Zubimendi's coming. I had to enjoy it. Okay, I didn't know about this, but gotta enjoy life. I can't let Arsenal drag me down. Ren, I hear we're after Leao as a left winger. Trust me, we'll chat about that for sure. And he says, Berta is active, getting all targets on our list, contacted so we can check prices and make moves quickly instead of messing about like in the past over months and months. Look, it seems like there's quite a quick start with the Gyökeres stuff and other things, but I will just say this. Well, no, I just said it 2 minutes ago. The work was done by Edu and the transfer department, who I've been incredibly critical of. Maybe not so much Edu, but in general, how we've operated when it comes to transfers in the last few months, I've been very, very critical. Not the last few windows in the last year, but fair play. You know, there's a lot to do as a transfer committee and as a club. There is signing the players for now. There's looking to the talent pool, so you're preparing for the future. And then there's getting ahead with deals that, you know, you couldn't do immediately, that you could do, in the coming months or in the next year. And Zubimendi fits in that. You couldn't get it done immediately. That's fine. We should have simultaneously be able to have done whatever we needed to do elsewhere in terms of the forward market, in terms of aiding the 24-25 season, while going, cool, Zubimendi isn't going to move in the summer of 2024, but for summer 2025, we're going to be ahead with it. And that's what Arsenal have done, because Liverpool, you know, he was close to joining Liverpool. They could have come back into this. Real Madrid was always an option, and other clubs too. So, yeah, I think we got to give credit, guys. Not just because we've had a poor season doesn't mean everything the club do is terrible. You know, we also got to give credit and acknowledge where they've done good work, and this is certainly one of them. 1,000 of you watching, guys, a big thank you. Hit the like button if you are here and enjoying the stream. It really helps and obviously allows other people to see this. So big thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Shout out Max as well, who's up early this morning. Bless him. And we were sort of scrambling to kind of get this all together. So big thanks to him. Cool. Timing feels important after the Xabi Alonso announcement earlier in the week. I kind of agree with that, but yeah. Yeah, I think the timing is just more. Let's talk about the timing thing, okay? Because this is kind of leading on to the Saliba stuff, and I see more of your comments, and I will go through super chats in just a sec. But I just want to just, I've just seen one of the super chats, made me laugh. Oh, you lot are so silly. Let's talk about the timing thing because it leads into the Saliba stuff. We'll go through super chats in 2 minutes. So on the timing, I, how do I put it? I think Arsenal have been quite PR recently. I think there's been quite a lot of like, let's try and really manipulate's probably a harsh word, but certainly impact the mood of a fan base in particular moments, whether it be ahead of big games or with certain news dropping at certain moments. They know that there is major anger in the fan base, and they also know there's been a lot of heat on the club for what they didn't do in the window. There's been a lot of heat on Mikel Arteta, more in particular because of the comments post PSG, and certainly forgetting all that, the results have been shambolic, both in the league. We pulled ourselves into a top four conversation we've been part of, and of course the PSG exit. And I think this could have been all agreed weeks ago, but I think they've waited for the moment to drop it. I don't think the minute the PSG game ended, Andrea Berta went, right, what do you want? 250 grand a week? Yeah, done. So verbal agreement, you're happy? Right, cool. Guys, I've got Zubimendi done. We're ready to go. Took a quick phone call, so I had to do. I don't think that's what happened. I think this has obviously been building, and they were just waiting for the right moment to go, yeah, okay, I think we need to let people know. I think if we'd gone through past PSG, listen, this might have all broken at the same time. I don't want to discredit the work of Fabrizio Romano and other great journalists, but I also think, did this become more urgent and more desperate situation that needed addressing? For sure. Did they need to quickly respond and get active in the window immediately? Yes. We have seen big clubs on a regular basis get signings done ahead of summers. It's not always been, I've always wondered why Arsenal the only team that seemed to do business when the window's open, because others are doing business outside of it. You're not confirming signings, you're not playing the players, but you can get ahead with work, and that's what Arsenal have done here. So the timing for sure is partly, PR based, but I mean, I don't really care. Give us some. If you're going to give us PR, make it tangible news. Make it things that I want to go live on the Goonerverse here about. Not me sitting on the Goonerverse 2 with my phone going, well, more rumors, more reports, and the Goonerverse 2 will always be about that. But here on the main channel, I want to be able to look at you all and go, guys, this is concrete, this is big, this is real. This is happening, and that's what's going on with Zubimendi. And like I said, if you're going to PR us with a bunch of news, at least make it tangible news, and this is what that is. So let's talk about Saliba in a second. We'll go through your super chats. So this is the one that made you laugh. How do you feel about Expecto Patronum? It's one of my favorite spells. My Patronus is an otter. I don't know that for sure, but obviously I don't, because I can't do real magic, believe it or not. But I think it'd be an otter. That's definitely how I connect with otters. I get them. I get them. Suge says, big up, James. After going out the Champions League, or the League and Champions League like we did, I need this to get done. Let's hope this is the start of a good window. Suge, I don't think you need to hope. I understand the hope for, I get what you're saying. Let's hope it's the start of what's going to be a very good window. And I totally get what you're saying. But I think it's done. I don't think we need to worry about it getting done. It seems like it's completely done. And I'll add to that, it is a good start. We don't have to say, I know it's not what you're saying, Suge, but I don't think we have to say, let's kind of hope we kind of, make a good quick start in the window. I think we've done that. That this is a good quick start, but more to come. There's a lot of areas. I've counted 6 areas Arsenal need to address. The backup goalkeeper, and there's a lot on Joan Garcia, by the way. The centre back / right back. Well, we need another defender. The 6 done, so that's 1 done. Another central midfielder, a left winger, and a striker. That is the work that needs to be done. Anmol says, I think this changes Erdegaard's role so much. He can stay further up and doesn't have to come back so much. Less running, but is he going to be a 10 now? Anmol, this is a great point. And actually, you'd think Partey would have allowed this anyway, but I completely agree. It doesn't really make sense for Erdegaard to drop super deep all the time. Only the one thing Arteta does do is he gets his left 8 bombing up the pitch so much. And Rice has been the penetrative runner in behind. which I don't mind when Erdegaard's pulling the strings and creating like he did with that goal against Bournemouth. But yeah, it's an interesting point there. I wonder whether he will sit more in the pockets to receive off a Zubimendi pass. But I just would have thought we could have done that with Partey anyway. But I know what you mean. This should sort of further cement that. But Lau says, think about it. You should allow Erdegaard not to play so deep. He has so much ball progression. Partey does not do that as much anymore and has lapses. I think Partey is capable of doing that. I just think we've been more tactically found out. But I agree. This will certainly give us another tweak to the system. Some people think Zubimendi's not that great. I think he's a very good player. AJF, we might actually be proactive for once. Agreed. The Berta era is off to a great start. It's got until 11:59 p.m. on June 31st to get all new signings in. Fair enough. DJ064 always supporting the stream. Big thank you. Says, morning, James. Zubimendi done, but now go get the forward this early. Yeah. But a lot of pressure to get that one right. You know, that's the other thing. They've got to get that deal spot on. Hey, is Max in the comments? Where is he? I love you. You're a legend, Max. Thank you so much. Guys, Max is just show him some love, man. Show him some love. The way he makes this channel tick. My producer, Max. Love you. Matt Harry says £115 budget, winger and striker unlikely after this. No, it'll be a bigger budget than that. I don't know if we'll do every position, but I'm confident it'll be a bigger budget than that. Cool. Okay. Do you want to go through the other news? Because this is big too. Here it is. William Saliba. Arsenal have opened talks. So David Ornstein yesterday at about 4:30 p.m. Also have opened talks over new contract for William Saliba. No offer yet, but expected soon as dialogue ramps up between Andrea Berta and the 24-year-old's camp. France defender happy at Arsenal, but will want terms reflecting his status amid Real Madrid pursuit. Yeah, and this isn't just to be one of the highest paid players at the club, but also to be one of the highest paid defenders in world football because he's one of the best defenders in world football. And this is a positive start. Again, this is good news. There was a lot of concern. There was a lot of concern about the way we'd ended the season. 3 full years of William Saliba. Real Madrid coming in. Also, a little part of me thought the way we knocked Real Madrid out, they were going to make this personal and just kind of be like, let's just remind you we can nick your players whenever we want. So yeah, I did think there was a little bit of that. I always think beating Real Madrid kind of sped them up. But also I thought Saliba played great in those games despite the error. So all of this was kind of rumbling in the background. And, I go back to the video I did on the Goonerverse, the Big Berta to-do list. We did that about a month or two ago. And I said, guys, don't sleep on the contracts. We're talking about incomings and outgoings for Berta, but the contracts is a major thing. And look, we covered on the Goonerverse too, and that's why I didn't do on the main Goonerverse channel, I did on the Goonerverse too, that Sam C from United Stand, who I think has just left, by the way, United Stand, is on to other things. So best of luck to him. But also Team News and Ticks, they'd both said that because Saka contract, it was kind of agreed, which his contract situations are normally dragged out. I don't know if his agents are always the easiest to deal with. And rightly so, but they've got a superstar in Bukayo Saka, and they'll want that reflected in the terms he gets. But it looks like that might have got done quite swiftly. And now here we are, William Saliba, and Arsenal seem to have put their foot on the accelerator. So just into the nitty gritty of this, they've opened talks over a new contract. Good. The offer's not there yet, but they'll be figuring out what it is he wants. Dialogues have ramped up. Brilliant. Good that Andrea Berta's sort of, really picked up the phone and is getting on with that. And I like this line. The France defender's happy at Arsenal. Now, that doesn't surprise me. I don't think for any second he was unhappy. I also didn't think he was... Oh, here we go. Just seeing some comment. We'll go through some comments in a sec. I also didn't think he was ever going to force the move to Real Madrid. I think if Real Madrid came in with £100 million offer and we said no, I don't think Saliba was going to kick up a fuss about it. I think he knows he's in a really strong position with his contract. And you've got to remember for players, he'll he'll still win a lot of football matches playing at Arsenal. He's still playing in a good side. It's been good for his development. It's been good for him kind of winning a spot in the France team. Although, has he been a bit in and out? But I think he has pretty much won that spot now. He's been playing at a level that is getting the likes of Real Madrid noticing and stuff like that. So I don't think Saliba was then going to be unhappy with how, for him personally, it's kind of gone. But he'll be an ambitious guy. He'll want to win. And Arsenal had to kind of prove that they're ambitious, both in what they do in terms of incomings, but also showing him a contract that kind of reflects his status and saying, look, yeah, you are one of them. And look, I think him, Saka, Gabriel, I think they'll all sign contracts upwards of 250 grand a week because they have to for their status in the squad to be reflected, but B, because that's what they're worth, because that's kind of the next jump for them. So yeah, there's a lot of big contracts going out. But that's what we need to do to keep these players. I'm glad he's happy. He's in control. If in a year's time, he knows he's got all the power in a year, because yes, he'll still have a year on his contract, but he won't. He doesn't have to sign anything. Real Madrid don't have to spend crazy money to get him, and there'll be a lot of interest. I know he played for Marseille, but could PSG knock on the door? I don't quite know if that dynamic is that one of those where he would never go there. I don't know. Let me know. I don't really quite understand that dynamic there. And there's other big clubs, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. Listen, I'm not inviting them all to come in and bid. Actually, I kind of am, because that will kind of boost up the price and do us a favor if it is the fact that he has to go one day. But in the meantime, get him down to a contract and we can worry about that another time. I want 2 more years of William Saliba minimum, because I think he's one of the best defenders in the world, and I think him and Gabriel, along with Rice and Raya and Saka, these are the players we should be building our core around. So this is good news, people. You're always going to get some of this. Phantom Patience, is this really a boost, or are you toxic positivity? Is Zubimendi replacing Partey and Jorginho not the opposite of a boost? Well, look, it's a needed boost that we are in contract talks for one, with our player who's one of the best centre backs in the world, and that we have got a very, very, very good defensive midfielder coming into the club. That is, guys, that's a needed. But I don't. It doesn't fix everything. I've been plenty critical. If you want critical James, who still feels angry about everything that's going on at the club, this news doesn't really change a lot of that for me. There was a video yesterday. There was a video on the Goonerverse on Thursday. There was a match report on Wednesday. There's Forever Arsenal's my AFTV fan cam. I can't. It's not every day moaning about everything, because the club isn't just doing bad things. It's not every move this club takes is terrible. And they've got they've got this right. Zubimendi's a good signing, and it's looking positive on the Saliba front. So let's see. Now, this is the other thing. I'll cover it super quickly before we round off. Rafa Leao's high up on Arsenal shortlist and initial contact has been made. Comes from Daniele Longo. I don't know quite how reliable. 130,000 followers, and I see him regularly kind of in the midst of transfer news and transfer reporting. This is, Get Italian Football News are covering this, and they tend to cover sort of the main stuff. So Rafa Leao, that is a player. I said on my non-negotiables, I want football that gets me off my feet. Sometimes that comes from your style of playing, your tactics. Sometimes that comes from players. Rafa Leao is a player that gets you off your feet. He's a player that you go, wow, he's going to do something here. I would love for us to go for Leao. Also because I think because he can play up front and on the left. You've got a player there that is kind of like, if you want Arsenal to maintain fluidity, listen, Gyökeres coming in, he will bag goals, but I don't know if he's going to maintain a fluidity in the front three, albeit that's been lost for a few years now. And I don't think he's going to be I will be in the box waiting for an opportunity, but when I get it, I'll smash it in the back of the net. Rafael might have more of an impact on the overall game we have, whether it be threat in transition, whether it be floating from left to right, dropping in the pocket, stretching games out wide, being on the touchline, playing on the inside. And I know not everyone is convinced on Rafael, but in terms of when he's at his best, he's got things that I think this Arsenal team can do with. I saw Leao rip Carvajal to shreds. Some are saying Rodrigo's better. Leao's top class. He's really poor off the ball. Arteta wouldn't want him. You're going to get a lot of this stuff, and I understand. Some people saying he's overrated. Some people saying Leao with Arteta. Yeah, I mean, but guys, I mean, and how much of this? Yeah, Leao is overrated. He's inconsistent. Okay, fine. I mean, maybe, but I think we all agree that at his best, wow, there's serious talent there. So let's see. I would have covered this on the Goonerverse too, but as we're live, I might as well just chat about it here. You know, it's a loose link, people. It's been covered by Get French Tony Football News with Daniel Longa, but I'm not massively sold that there's a lot happening there. I'm not sure he's completely an Arteta player, but how many of these signings are going to be Arteta's guys? There might be a little, you know, from the higher ups, there might be a little bit of, you know, we've given you everything you want. 3 years of that, 3 years of challenging or supposedly without a title. You know, we're going to let Berta take control of this. And maybe Arteta has been. Listen, they're never going to sign anyone Arteta fundamentally doesn't want, but maybe he's got a little bit less say. Or maybe Berta's the perfect complement to get through the door exactly the level of quality Arteta wants. Because maybe all this is reflecting harshly on Arteta. And actually, it's a case of he's wanted these maverick players. He's wanted these match-winning, great ball strikers, individual moments of quality players. And maybe Edu and those before couldn't deliver it. I don't know. We will never know. But what we do know is Arsenal are signing Martin Zubimendi. And that makes me very, very happy. If where I want to be happiness with Arsenal is here, and where I am after this week is here, Zubimendi's just pulled me up a little bit. And the Saliba contract talks. But a lot of work to do. A lot of work still to do. And I said on Forever Arsenal, I wasn't going to compromise on any of the other positions. If you bring in Leao, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, Joan Garcia, but we haven't got more cover at centre-back and we haven't got a number 10, I'm going to be spoilt brat James. I'm going to go, that's not enough. Yeah, I'm serious. Go round off the stream. Harry says, oh, I read that. And Sue says, get subscribing, people. Let's get James to 50K. So let's do it this summer. We've got to hit 50K. That would be great. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the live. Any more updates and news? Remember, guys, the main news and the main analysis and the real kind of big talking points here on the Goonerverse, all the extra stuff, the rumors, the reports, the add-ons, we've talked about it, but I've got a little bit more to say. That's on the Goonerverse too. So go subscribe to the Goonerverse too, people, as well. Big thank you. Really appreciate you all jumping in for this live. First thing in the morning. Of course, anything more comes out, like I said, we'll keep you covered. Appreciate you jumping in. And yeah, Zubimendi, Saliba. It's been a good start to the response from this season, but plenty to do. See you in a bit.